Welcome to SwarmCast, the marketing hive for pest control pros from coast to coast. If you're tired of your competition bugging you and want to grow your business like a well-built colony, you're in the right place. Each episode, we'll break down the latest marketing trends, expert insights, and proven strategies to help you exterminate the competition and keep your phones buzzing. So strap in, pest bosses. It's time to swarm the market and take your business to the next level. This is SwarmCast.
Welcome to the SwarmCast. Here we have Gary Burch. He's going to talk about all things Cinch, but beyond the company, going to get to know him personally and know about how this technology can enable PCOs, your business, by taking advantage of automation, which that is the promise of AI technology, is to give us a return on investment. Welcome to the show today, Gary Burch.
Thank you so much. Appreciate you having me on, Wyatt.
Gary, welcome to the SwarmCast. Let's talk about a little bit of history first. Okay, I saw that you came from corporate America. Tell us about that journey through the ranks of Verizon. You spent a lot of time in that spot. So go ahead. Tell us what happened there.
Yeah, kind of how things happen. It just happens sometimes. And I was living in Colorado Springs, had a young family, needed to make some money, right? So funny enough, I go and start selling Verizon cell phones out of a kiosk in a mall. And that's if you want to learn how to sell, that is the way to learn how to sell, right? When you're talking, you have other guys in there and you have people walking up, and it was a very aggressive, professional sell. I've never been the type to really bother and be overbearing. But anyway, started selling there, had great success. Exhibited leadership skills, became a store manager and quickly grew up the ranks into district manager quite quickly. But yeah, I learned a lot about selling and a lot about communication through that experience for sure.
District sales manager for Verizon. I can only imagine how hard you had to work and put in to do that. I know some other friends that were in the similar industry, and man, what a rough go of it. I came from corporate America. I worked with UPS, and same kind of a role.
Yeah.
You know that they own you. They own you when you're playing for corporate America. Yeah.
I will say the nice thing was I worked for an indirect dealer for Verizon it was called Diamond Wireless. So I'm from Utah originally. I was living in Colorado Springs at the time. It was kind of nice that there was that little bit of a buffer, right? Because then you can have a little bit of control over it, a little bit more flexibility. So I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed that, the autonomy to kind of think a little bit outside the box, and not be so within the lines and be creative and let your talents kind of show through. But yeah, still the same thing at the end of the day, retail, and you're working holidays and weekends, and that's your prime time, and you're on that, hitting those goals and everything. So
that's awesome. Well, you went from there to Titan Mobile, same title I see in LinkedIn, district sales manager. Then you went to work for BrioStack. Now, BrioStack, I was at Pest World. Their booth was right next to mine. They were giving away Segways and making all kinds of noise. And, it was cool to be next to it, to see all that energy. Now, that you spent 2 years with BrioStack. So tell us a little bit about BrioStack.
honestly, and I told you this before, but the best career move ever. I'm extremely grateful for BrioStack. It's funny, their office is 5 minutes from my house here in Lehi, Utah. So it worked out perfectly. I'm actually a single dad of two kids. I have them full time with me. They're a little bit older now, but it made things nice for me, this career change. And what's really cool is the VP of sales at the time for BrioStack. His name's Derek Walker. He's now the CRO for Sage Pest Control. I moved into this neighborhood, met him at a neighborhood event. I was in this transitional period where, this company that I worked for, the T-Mobile company, Titan Mobile, was being bought out. I had to make a decision, and I really didn't want to continue in wireless, if I'm being honest with you. Here in Utah, tech sales are king. And I really believed I could do a great job as what's called an account executive, as opposed to starting off as a business development rep, kind of the ground floor. But it's hard to crack that. It's hard to get into right away into that sales closer position here in those tech companies. But Derek, we had a great conversation. He's like, come in and have an interview. And I went into BrioStack, had an interview, and was hired that week in a closer
Wow.
position, and went in right away and had phenomenal success. But I'm so grateful for that experience with BrioStack because whether you like the software or not, the culture was phenomenal because we at BrioStack very much believed in getting out there in the pest community, supporting the industry, being present, right? So going to the local shows and conferences and CEU classes, having a great presence at Pest World, supporting where we could, and just building relationships, and going to Academy and competing in those events at Academy, and then obviously being at Pest World. So I learned so much. I owe that, all my pest control knowledge and experience to BrioStack. And that was a phenomenal experience. Still good friends with those guys, right? They're awesome people, and they represent the industry well.
Absolutely. And I mean, we have an abundance mindset, right? As far as there's plenty of software providers in the pest control industry. I know a lot of the companies that we have an assortment mix,
Yeah.
Desk Pack, Gorilla
Yeah.
Desk, and we have a field routes, and I think that once you get locked in, you're like, oh crap. To move off of that to go to somewhere else is a big journey, right? And a big step.
Oh,
So now we're talking about Cinch, right? Cinch, let me just throw this out there for Cinch. When we went to Pest World, we got hit up by the Cinch team. I mean, everybody was in and out of Swarm Tower. And I was just so impressed with the interaction with the Cinch team. I just got to tell you that
well, thank
that
you.
that just made such a big impact that we were like, we want Cinch as a sponsor and be involved with our mastermind, which we're so thankful to have you. And so thank you for being a part of that. And I'll tell anybody at Cinch, great working with you guys, great partnership. But having said that, let's talk about the capabilities for the pest control owner that's trying to not necessarily get off of what they already have,
Yeah.
but they want to enable it. Now, there's a new term. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to drop it right now. CDXP. What is it, Gary? Tell us what the CDXP is.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate you bringing that up. So CDXP, Customer Data Experience Platform, and we just joked about it. It's kind of a new term, and honestly, when I'm having conversations with pest control companies, I'm probably not. I don't lead with that for sure, not to confuse people, but I'll highlight what you just said. When I worked with BrioStack and having to try to get companies to switch off of PestPack or switch off of field routes, it's such a process, right? And it's challenging. So when I had the opportunity to come to Cinch and essentially work with any of the platforms, I'm like, oh, let's go. This is amazing. I don't have to try to get this company to switch and change their whole business plan and their whole process system. So the cool thing about Cinch and what excited me about it, and what really, really enticed me, right? They recruited me from BrioStack to come in and build out the pest control industry for Cinch. What really excited me is that when we talk about the customer data experience, we're talking about all that valuable data that companies have in field routes or BrioStack or PestPack, whatever it may be. There's so much low-hanging fruit in there. And I knew with my experience with companies that the majority of companies are not taking advantage of that data that they already have in their database. The ability to cross-sell to your existing customers, the ability to win back past customers, turn one-time customers into subscription customers. It's just because it was too hard. So what Cinch does, to put it simply, is we help you pull that data in, aggregate that data, not just from your pest pack or whatever software you're using, but also from your Google My Business or uploading lists or webhooks, Zapier integrations. We allow you to consolidate this data and then use our system and our data science to be able to segment and drill down to specific portions of your database, right? Whether that's, hey, we want to find out who is active but doesn't have a mosquito service, and we want to cross-sell them to mosquito. So it's just giving you an easier way and a more dynamic look at your data to then utilize that data to run omni-channel marketing campaigns. And what that means is using every channel at your disposal: email, text message, direct mail, pushing into Google ad and social media ad audiences, and so much more. So just the ability to leverage and use the valuable data you have to improve retention, increase customer per revenue, get more referrals, and so much more.
Man, you did a great job. I was looking down here of the capabilities, and I think about, we hear a lot about AI, right? AI
Yep.
this, AI that, a lot of theory. And my mission this year with Swarm Pest Control Marketing is to make sure that as we're engaging with our mastermind, engaging with our customers, that we're educating them on what tools exist out there to enable them. So when we talk about CDXP, now, what is the AI integration of that is taking your data is king, and
Yep.
now we push things out that are automated. Because one of the biggest things, the biggest return on investment is automation.
Yep.
If you can automate that and not pay somebody to go in there, just imagine if they had to comb through that data to find a cross-sell opportunity,
Yep.
or if they had to follow up on a termite job or follow up on something where, hey, people get busy. A lot of PCO operators, they don't have 50 people in the audience to do, or in their office to do those kind of things to retain their clients, but also do this omni-channel marketing, which usually people are doing like one or two things, but omni-channel, that's beautiful. And I'm glad that you talked about that. So let's talk about some case studies really quick. Now, the ones that pop up on your site are pretty big. I
Yeah.
saw Moxie, I saw Pesco, and then I know that there are some in the brew right now. Tell me about those top two. Were you involved with Pesco or Moxie?
Yeah, with both of them, great relationship. My guy at Pesco, Sean Peters, fantastic guy. Him and I, worked out this deal with Pesco, and the biggest thing for them is they were using Podium before to handle their reviews, and they saw an opportunity to improve that process and work with a company that, you know scale wise, we're a little bit smaller, but we can do a lot, and we have a lot of on the customer support side, the ability to help and support. Anyway, so that was the main focus of what they wanted to do was really be able to leverage that review data, and move away from Podium, which they did, and then be able to take that beyond and start doing cross-selling and winning back past customers. And I know we're active in that process right now. But that case, speaking specifically about that case study, talks about their success with reviews using Cinch. So I always say this, there's a lot of platforms out there that do review generation, right? And we do that as well. We do it just as well as anybody else on the market as far as reaching out to at post service to increase Google reviews or based upon specific criteria. But that's a small part of what Cinch does, but it's part of the greater good of getting more data in and being able to use that data. So what Pesco has done, been able to get more reviews. They've been able to then create a leaderboard for their technicians as far as reviews go. And one of the most exciting things, and whether you're a big company like Pesco or you're a small company, we have automated journeys to automatically respond to Google reviews for you. Now, typically we're going to see that with 5-star reviews, right? So 5-star review comes in, instead of having to have somebody manually monitoring that and going and posting every time, our system can have templated personalized responses. As soon as that review comes in, it will randomly select one of those and never duplicate them and post that directly to Google, and saving the company time, making sure that you're responding quickly to the customer and still creating a personalized experience. A lot of companies have had success with that, and I know Pesco led the way with that, and in the architecture of that with our team, and they've seen great success, and we love working with them and love seeing them at Pest World and in other areas. But it's exciting to see what they've done.
That's beautiful. And I think the review management piece is important, right? I've owned a digital marketing agency for 17 years,
Yeah.
and we offered reputation management, which was a human being jumping in, monitoring reviews, responding to them, and or alerting the customer, hey, you got a 1-star, better address this with Jimmy
Yeah.
because he sucks, that kind of stuff. So the fact that you have some automation in there, what I was very impressed with, and I told the demo team this, is the level of workflow enablement and how easy it was to configure.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big piece because, hey, a lot of these PCO operators, they don't have time to get a PhD in learning another piece of software, another piece of software.
Yep.
I'm just going to throw another one out there because we are still using Podium,
Hmm.
but I think they've had their run. Now, I'm not talking negatively about Podium. I think Podium's a good fit. We've paid plenty of money with Podium, but now these stack on additional things just adds just more value where AI using that automation to increase your return on investment so that you can utilize the people that you have even better, not to replace them, but use them in different ways, right? The human to
Yeah.
human interaction that can't be replaced with automation. Not at this point, right? You
Yeah.
still want that. You see a lot of this where people are afraid about losing jobs and getting into all that stuff. This is not about that. This is about enhancing the efficiency, speed, and then the customer retention. What have you seen on the customer retention front, Gary? When somebody goes in, puts this stuff in place, they're utilizing, maybe they're using only 40% of the capability. What are they looking at as far as return?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think I want to hit on something you said real quick and then dive into that. But you make a great point there with Podium, and it's not talking bad about them at all, right? They do
No,
great with
no.
in their sphere of influence with their segment that they focus on. What's interesting about Cinch is we know, like you said, that there's more and more platforms coming out, right? And for a pest control company to have to learn all these different platforms, it could be challenging. There's an opportunity with Cinch to consolidate a lot of that stuff, right? What
Yes,
somebody
yes.
may be using for MailChimp, right? They may be using MailChimp for email marketing, and then they're using Podium for reviews, and then they're using another platform for texting or something like that. You can essentially consolidate those tools into one with Cinch. That's two fewer logins or however many fewer logins, and being able to put all that data in one place and then use it. That's the biggest thing, right? Because
That's it.
the
Use.
the process right now, and I bet the Swarm members or the listeners to this podcast will nod their head as they hear me say this, but right now it's, hey, I have to go into my system, filter out pest pack. I have to export a list. So you have to filter it yourself. You export this list. Maybe you upload it to MailChimp or Constant Contact or something. You send off one email blast to your customer base. Then guess what? That data changes. So guess what? You have to go back in and do that again, pull that data. So it's not even, you mentioned jobs and efficiency. It's like, hey, what could your team be doing with that time that they have to do all these manual processes? They could probably be even more effective at their job when you let Cinch take over some of that automation, improve those processes to make their job not just easier but more effective overall for high quality activities so just wanted to get that out of the way. I don't know if you had any thoughts on that, but
I
wanted to make that
appreciate
point.
that. One of the things I tell our listeners is I come from a family of software engineers. And the 80-20 rule, you hear it over and over again. There is no piece of software that's going to do 100%, right? Just not going to do it. Unless you build a custom piece of software, then you're in real deep with whoever
Mhm.
developed it. So, it's like, hey, we don't need to reinvent QuickBooks. We got QuickBooks,
Yep.
But the fact that this does, and I know for a fact, just looking at some of the capabilities, it replaces 6 or 7 different pieces of software that are out there. One of the things that I'm working on, Gary, this year is a book on AI technology in the pest control field and how you can really use it. So one of the things that I love to spend some time with Cinch is having a big chapter on, okay, where is this going? And it's really about that customer data experience platform. We are being able to take the data, use the data to make better decisions all the way through the whole chain without having to have somebody manually be looking at this and doing the interpretation. And there are high powered players in the pest control industry that they can look through the data and make those decisions. The bigger you go, you have the CIO, CTO, all these players which if you have these on dashboards or we have access to the data, now we can start putting pieces in that make sense of it, use that omni-channel marketing, maybe in conjunction with weather patterns, weather trends, or reviews, how people are responding and making changes in your workflow. It's a beautiful thing. It really is. I think that this enablement, how many different players are in this enablement place that you're at right now? Is there a lot of players?
As far as direct competition to what we're doing,
Yeah.
uh, not in the pest control space. There are some of the softwares out there that have they try to do their own things similar to Cinch. Without mentioning them by name, they typically lack some opportunities from the omni-channel perspective. Maybe they just do email and mailers, they don't do text messaging, right? Or they struggle to push into Google ad or Facebook ad audiences, or the segmentation's a little bit challenging, the data overall. I could honestly say, doing this for almost 2 years now in the pest control space, I don't think there's a product out there that is apples to apples comparison to Cinch. I think you would have to take multiple platforms to do what Cinch does.
Hands down. And that's what my experience has been. That's why I'm looking forward to writing this book and really including pieces there where it's really about this CDXP. Can't wait to talk to you guys more about that. This is a great book I'm going to recommend called The AI Driven Leader. Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff Woods, great guy. I'll put that also on this podcast, but link up with Jeff Woods. And what it is about is, you don't replace yourself as an AI leader. So using the capabilities of technology like we're discussing with Cinch, you're still the leader. You're not giving away that title of leadership to automation. You're building the workflows. You're going through and configuring it to work with your business.
Yeah.
And I think that that's where a lot of people get off the bus when you start talking about AI. They feel like it's just going to do everything. It doesn't work that way. You
Yeah.
know, we've heard in the news with DeepSeek, now with Deep Search. Perplexity is a great AI tool. I'm not sure if you use that one, but now they've got DeepSeek running on US based servers just
Yeah.
for that data integrity. Great tools, great
Absolutely.
tools because AI tends to hallucinate sometimes.
This is
And
well,
we gotta fact check this stuff, and that's why you have AI driven leaders and what I would call thought leaders. But it's nice to have um, AI to help us do certain things, especially in automation. One of the recent things I did is I had to rewrite a legal agreement, upload the agreement. Let's change some clauses, ask some questions. Boom, regenerated. Out it goes. Done in 15 minutes.
yeah.
That's a beautiful thing. Would I do that on huge agreements? No. Small
No.
ones, no problem.
Well, I
You
think
know,
that's a great point. I think that's what's called using technology responsibly, right? It's like you can't honestly, the pest control companies that I see grow are the ones who can leverage this new technology successfully, but still keep a level head, if that makes sense, right? They're able to use technology, but not go insane with it, and you're balancing the personal touch with the use of technology to improve efficiency, to keep you at top of mind, and to accomplish more, essentially, right? So I think when you can use that responsibly, you stay ahead of the game. You can't be scared of it. It's like anything in life, right? You got to hit it head on. You got to go, you got to dive in, you've got to understand it, you've got to understand how your company can leverage it and pull the levers that you can. And that's how you stay progressing in this day and age that we're in.
absolutely correct. It's the leaders that are using AI to move that ahead, right? It's just a new tool. I liked how Facebook, the CEO there, talked about it. He said, how many of us are farmers right now? Less than 4% of the population. What
Yeah.
was it like 100 years ago?
I think,
Things changed. We became an
yeah.
industrialized, the industrial revolution. We're going through that revolution right now with what's going on. I know this wasn't a call about AI, but I just wanted to touch on it from an enablement, automation, and just running. the best efficient business that you can, looking at the data you already own,
Yeah.
looking at the customers you already have. You've worked hard to build your pest control company. You've built a brand, you've built a reputation. Why not use the enablement? Okay, I have to ask because this one's flying around. Is I was working with one of our mastermind members to get to 200 reviews, and all of a sudden the next day 40 reviews are gone. I'm sure you guys saw this. All these reviews got uh, gone overnight, and you were getting calls from your customers. Did this happen to you?
That interesting you bring that up. I've heard it a little bit, but I honestly haven't been in the thick of that, probably like our customer success reps have.
Right.
So I admittedly I don't know a ton about it, like the reasons why. Part of that may be because I've been traveling a bunch for work lately. But I've heard that in the past, right? And there's a lot of it has to do with Google changing their policies and things of that nature and kind of the parameters behind it. But yeah, I don't know. You could probably tell me if there's more to it.
Well, I'll just tell you, Google just said, "Hey, they're going to come back." We ran something in the background. A bunch of them disappeared. They were probably testing their AI review generation to see if it was a fake review or a real review. And I
Yeah,
like what you were saying about, hey, we don't post the same response to a review. That's how you get flagged. Or you're probably using generative AI to respond to different levels of reviews. That makes sense to me.
yep.
So we'll see. Hopefully those reviews come back in the next week. Be prepared if you get a call. I know we've had to already answer those with Google responses that have already come out about that being a fluke.
Ah, that's
So
good.
this will be old. Yeah,
That's
it'll be
good.
old. Yeah, it'll be old news.
Everybody will
All
know
right.
why it happened by the time this comes out.
Absolutely. So we talked about a lot, and if somebody's interested in learning more, Gary, they can go to cinch.com and reach out to you guys. I'll put some links in this podcast to make sure that if they want a case study, a lot of our members are have been in the business for more than 5 to 10 years.
Yeah,
They know what we're talking about right here.
absolutely.
We started our Pest Friends about 4.5 years ago, and this stuff really did not exist that I looked at the time. And so the best solution at the time was field routes for the costing and starting a brand new business. And it's a great platform.
Yeah,
It's a great platform. And that's not from my lips. That's from somebody who's been in the industry over 30 plus years that was running a bigger piece of software, probably the biggest piece of software in the industry. Just didn't make sense to do some sort of integration or implementation. So that's the only thing we didn't talk about as far as cost. So if somebody comes in there, maybe they're doing $1 million in revenue, does this thing pay for itself pretty quick? And give me an idea how long it would take to pay for itself.
yeah, interesting. Great question, right? So we've done some case studies. Obviously, we talked about the Pesco one. Moxie, we did a case study with them, cross-selling from their pest control services over to lawn services in the Dallas area. And they saw great success with that. In fact, at last, when we did the case study, 40% of the lawn care subscriptions were attributed to those efforts from Cinch. So if you think about that, right, obviously every company is a little bit different on subscription amount, whatnot. But when you think about that number, that's a solid number as far as leveraging Cinch. We also just recently did a case study with Innovative Pest Control out of East Texas. The Santangelos are the owners. Kevin Kime is the president of Innovative Pest Control. Awesome guy. And he has had massive success with Cinch. In fact, he ran, our most recent case study that we've published is they did a cross-sell campaign or journey, as we call it, from basically general pest, anybody active over to cross-selling to anybody that did not have a mosquito service. That one campaign, that one journey that they ran paid for Cinch for the entire year, the success they had from that. And they openly talk
Campaign,
about it. One
one
campaign
campaign.
paid for Cinch
How
for the
many
entire
lo-
year.
how many locations were they?
So let me see the total locations. There are, I want to say two locations, a little
Okay,
bit
so they're
smaller
not.
company.
We're not talking about an empire, and so I'm
No,
I'm targeting. One campaign paid for this whole thing with a 2 location business.
Yeah,
So
and I'm speaking more like Google My Business. On the case study, it talks about they have 27 service areas. So that's probably more what you're talking about. But like from a
sure.
like GMB, I think they have two GMB locations, but they are in East Texas, that area, which
Yeah.
obviously is
Yeah.
pretty big.
No,
Yeah,
this is great. This is great. The demo is free. Now, if you want to actually run this, there's not a free trial, right? You have to do just a demo and make a commitment. Is that correct?
correct. Yep. Yeah, we do a demo. We've seen enough success from it, obviously, with the clients that we have and the case studies that we've run. And I want to go back to what you said earlier, right? You talked about retention, and I'm glad you mentioned that. I know I kind of got us off that topic, but Cinch, it really starts with retention. Every company I talk to, all I do every day is talk to pest control companies, right? Every company wants new customers. It doesn't matter that much if you don't keep the customers that you have. And we are in this day and age, we are in the age of competition in pest control. Everybody knows that. There's pest control companies everywhere. What sets you apart? And what keeps you at top of mind with your customers? The average person's not sitting at home thinking about their pest control. They're just not. I learned that, right? And no, not knowing much before I started working at BrioStack, you're not at home thinking about pest control. So the idea is to balance be keeping in touch with your customers and staying at top of mind with overwhelming them. We don't want to do that, but we also don't want to just leave them alone and not say anything. So Cinch really starts with retention. That could come in the form of customer welcome journeys, educational pieces, newsletters, and doing these things in an automated way. But then at the end of the day, your customers don't know all the services that you offer. How many pest control companies can attest to this? You go out to a home to do a general pest service, and there's a flag in the lawn of Mosquito Joe or Mosquito Squad or whatever. No offense to any of those names, but X mosquito company, thinking that they have to call that company that has mosquito in the name. That's what the average person thinks. So the idea of Cinch is let's keep your customers in the know. Let's let them know that you offer mosquito services. Let them know you offer termite, or if you do lawn or weed control. Keep that at top of mind. Let them know ahead of your regular visits, and you are more likely to increase sales with your existing customer base. In fact, you have about a 67% close rate with your existing customer base minimum, right? And that's about 50% higher than brand new customers. You're able to close these new customers. And with Cinch, we help you increase email open rates. If emails aren't working, then we can leverage text messages, right? And if they're not responding to direct communication, one really cool thing we see is we can push them into Google ad or Facebook ad audiences to see your targeted ads. So we are very much about the proactive side of it as opposed to being reactive. Let's get in front of your customers the right way, the right time, let them know what you offer, and let them take advantage of it. If they have a great relationship with you, guess what? They're going to you instead of the other guy because they already know you and you took care of them. So that's, again, so much we could talk about, but I want to make sure that's there because it all starts with retention leading to growth.
I really appreciate that. I would say for any PCO watching that they look at their retention rate right now. If it's not good or it's worse than, the standard that's out there, this is a good move. This is a real good move. 67% close rate with your existing customer versus a new customer, that's big.
Yep.
That's big. And a lot of the pest control companies, they do have multiple services and the customer doesn't necessarily know that they need it. They call, for example, there's different seasons, right? With mosquitoes, there's different seasons with ants, there's different seasons with scorpions, whatever it is. These workflows are going to do that for you. So I think we've got a lot of value here, Gary.
Yeah.
I think the next move would be if somebody's ready to look at this, do a demo, take a look at the enablement.
Yep.
You might even look at what's provided by your current, software package that you're running for your pest control company. And even if it has some of it, I guarantee it's not even close on some of the other pieces. So don't just compare on one element. Look at it across. I call it a matrix. Look at a
Yeah.
matrix and look at what's important to you. And who knows? Maybe you're running some software that can be consolidated into it and it pays for itself just in consolidation costs alone.
Yeah,
Okay.
and to your point, what you mentioned a couple minutes ago is we do the demo, we go through it. I love the conversation, the consultative approach, right? I want to help your business. I want to know your challenges, and then I want to show you how Cinch can solve those. And when it comes to how we work and why, again, we've seen the results, right? And that's why we go right into it. If this makes sense for you, let's get you on board because we're not the type of software that just says, "Hey, Wyatt, thanks for jumping on board. Watch some videos and good luck with Cinch. Have fun," right? The reason why we are confident in just diving right in and getting a company started and signed up is because we spend a lot of quality time with you. You have one-on-one onboarding calls with Cinch and support, and we don't charge extra for that either. So you can have calls with our team onboarding. And then when you graduate and you have an account manager, you can set up calls with them. You can reach out to our support team. But while we're not a white glove service, right? We're not an agency, so to speak, we're a platform. We hold your hand through the setup process. And I say this all the time. I am not the type of person, just from a personal standpoint, and I can speak for our company as well, that wants you to jump on board, pay us money, and never use the software. That does not sit right with me, right? We want you to come on board and we want to hold your hand until you see value and beyond, right? We want to be there to support you in what you need. You provide the strategy, we help you with the execution. And that's the statement that I'd make. And we are confident in how we do that and what we can do in supporting pest control companies see success.
That's a great finality and wrap up here. Gary, I appreciate you being on the SwarmCast, talking about all these different pieces. Looking forward to working with you as a technology partner with our
Absolutely.
mastermind, and then talking to some other industries.
Yeah.
Landscaping is one huge. I'm going to introduce you to some friends over there too. So
Oh,
anyway,
Wyatt, you've been great.
appreciate.
Just want to give you a plug real
Yeah,
quick. You've been
yeah,
awesome. We are incredibly excited to be a part of the SwarmCast and this partnership. We like the way you guys talk about things and the way you help pest control companies. So thank you for your partnership and the relationship we've built already. I'm excited.
awesome.
That's a wrap on this episode of SwarmCast. Thanks for tuning in and arming yourself with the marketing firepower to keep your pest control business thriving. Before you scurry off, be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave us a review. It helps us spread like a well-placed bait station. Got a topic you want us to tackle? Drop us a line and let's keep the conversation buzzing. Until next time, stay sharp, stay strategic, and keep swarming the market.